You need to watch the expressions on the faces of Trump's lawyers as he describes another woman who has credibly accused him of sexual assault. Now, just to recap, Donald Trump held an emergency press conference in New York City after he appealed the verdict in the E. Jean Carroll case, where a jury deliberated that he had sexually assaulted her. And during this press conference, if you want to call it that, Donald Trump rambled about Russia, made up conspiracy theories about E. Jean Carroll, and in this clip, he perfectly incriminates himself. He says that there were two witnesses. He describes the witnesses. He talks about another person who has accused him, and I've never seen a miscalculation like this in my life before. Just pay attention to his lawyers' faces.
Now, there were two witnesses. One is a woman who's followed me for years. She said in 1979 I was in an airplane with her, commercial flight, and we became very intimate. I just sat down. I think I had the book, The Art of the Deal. I was famous then, too. I've been famous for a long time. And we're sitting in first class, according to her. Never happened, by the way. Totally made up story. She's a Clinton person, too, by the way. Big Clinton person. She made up the story. And so many years ago, and I think it would be 1979, one of my many people behind me could correct it, but I think she said 1979, that's a long time ago. And I sat down. I believe I had some pretty big success then, and I was being talked about a lot. Maybe The Art of the Deal was out, sometime after that, I'm not sure. But I was well known. And passengers are coming into the plane. And she said I was making out with her. And then, after 15 minutes, and then she changed her story a couple of times, maybe it was quicker, that I grabbed her at a certain part, and that was when she had enough. Now, so think of the impracticality of this. I'm famous. I'm in a plane. People are coming into the plane. And I'm looking at a woman, and I grab her, and I start kissing her and making out with her. What are the chances of that happening? What are the chances? And frankly, I know you're going to say it's a terrible thing to say, but it couldn't have happened. It didn't happen. And she would not have been the chosen one. She would not have been the chosen one. She has gone around for years saying the story. Everywhere I go, she says this story. And it's a total lie. Now, I assume she'll sue me now for defamation like I got sued by E. Jean Carroll.
Wow, but it gets worse. Nick Field on Twitter said, Trump giving a disastrous press conference ensures that his record of sexual assault will be the #1 news story the weekend before the debate, and I'm sure he'll get asked about this during the debate. In this next clip, Donald Trump brings up an additional woman who has credibly accused him of sexual assault and details the allegations for almost 5 minutes. I, of course, won't play the entire clip, but Trump says this woman, whatever her name is, and just talks about another woman who has accused him, unprompted.
Two witnesses. One is named Jessica Leeds, so she was up again. She can't get rid of her. She was up. She said I was in an airplane doing that. A couple of things. You have an armrest in planes back in those days. Oh, by the way, she didn't know anything about the flight, where we were going.
It's not even worth listening to this because Donald Trump is basically just summarizing his lawyer's wacky arguments, but in a way less articulate way. Whose idea was it to explain this entire legal case when he couldn't explain the alphabet to a kindergartner? Watch this clip of Donald Trump saying, when you're rich and famous, not that they let you do it, no, when you're rich and famous, you get a lot of people making up stories. It's funny, last time he said something similar, he was saying they let you do it.
It never happened. I was the one that served her whatever she was drinking. And I was there, and nothing ever happened. But you don't need the butler. All you have to do is read the story. Think of this. A woman comes into Mar-a-Lago, interviews me about a love story about my wife and myself. And during that interview, I attacked her and pushed her up against the wall violently. Okay? And then she leaves and she writes a perfect story. A perfect story. She doesn't mention the event. Again, there's nothing on file at all. Zero. There was no complaints. There were no complaints to People magazine. There was no witness. There was nothing. Yeah, well, there was a witness, the butler, and he's already said everything. He's already told this story. Because this story, likewise, like Leeds, this story has followed me around. I could go through many other stories outside of this. You know, it's very funny. When you're rich and famous, you get a lot of people come up with a lot of stories. But you're writers, and some of you are legitimate writers, and some of you aren't. Some of you are fake news, and some of you are real news. But put yourself in my position. I'm running for president, and I have all these cases all of a sudden come out. And they're fake cases, and they report back to DOJ.
Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Did Donald Trump just basically admit everything while talking on stage? Is he losing his mind as he's getting older? I love to hear from you guys. I personally think that Donald Trump is going off the rails in front of our eyes with every single appearance that he makes. He only reaffirms that he's unfit for office, and I think losing in the polls is really doing a number on him. I mean, you know he loves crowd sizes in polls, and if we go to the recent polling, VP Harris is up +6, +3, +2, +2. We can go on and on and on, and she's up, and I think that's really getting to Donald Trump. And now watch Alina Habba take the stand and try to do some damage control.
Good afternoon. I've done this one too many times. Actually, too many times for the last 3.5 years while President Trump has been trying to fight to get this country back. And I want to speak to the American women, and I want to speak to the people that need to get out and vote on November 5th. I have sat with President Trump for years now, while he has been targeted with lies and with judges, AGs, and DAs.
So she just tries to do the victim routine. She tries to recreate Donald Trump's victim routine when it doesn't work, when Donald Trump in another clip is claiming that these photos of E. Jean Carroll are AI generated. These have been floating around for like a decade.
A woman, other than this picture, which could have been AI generated, I don't know, showed up out of nowhere, but it's fine.
He's the one, it's all projection with them. When he thought that VP Harris was using notes, he said it's because he uses notes. When he posted AI-generated images, videos, over and over of VP Harris, now he thinks that a court used an AI-generated image, and the court never even caught on to that. And I really do think Donald Trump's attempts to grab the news cycle are going to backfire in his face when the next week is all talking about Arlington National Cemetery, sexual assault, J.D. Vance being a weirdo. Every time Donald Trump tries to do something explosive and make the headlines, he makes the situation much worse. He is getting desperate, and I think that's becoming increasingly obvious every single time he steps on stage, every single time he does an interview or a town hall. I'm incredibly excited for the debate on Tuesday. I hope you guys are as well.